Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Masks Off. I'm Kim.
And I'm Tia.
And we are so excited to have you here today. We just recorded our previous episode was on perfectionism and pushing and to-do lists and FFTs, first F in times, and just how we can get so caught and wrapped up in the whirlwind, the hamster wheel of doing, and not knowing how to be in that pressure where we just feel so overstressed, so overworked, just depleted, empty, exhausted. How many of you out there can relate to the feeling that way?
That overwhelm.
Overwhelmed and just
the drowning, right?
The drowning, nothing left inside.
Mm-hmm.
So Jane Fonda actually says in our quote for today that we are not meant to be perfect. We are meant to be whole. So what Tia and I want to talk about in this episode is some of the antidotes to what we were explaining in the last episode.
Exactly. And I just love like the whole WHOLE because
Exactly.
we can be drowning and still be whole. It's not about being perfect, but it's recognizing we're drowning and we need to rebalance. We need to reset. We need to, like the quote from the last episode, we may just have to kick back and do nothing for a bit. So the water, so like that muddy, mucky water we see can settle and then get that image that you so beautifully share all the time of that crystal clear water.
Yeah.
And how you can see down to the bottom. So when we're in that drowning space, the water's so mucky, we can't see and be in alignment because we're so being pulled in different directions or we're weighted down, drowning in that mucky water, where when we calm ourselves, come back to that inner wholeness that we have, which is filled with dark and light. It's not all roses. It has those prickly thorns. It becomes clearer and the clarity comes out. I mean, just before we started recording, things came a little more clear for you, didn't they?
Yes, they did. They did. And so I shared that I am more in alignment with what lights me up and what really excites me. And where I got unclear or lost sight of what's really important to me was because I got caught in what I should be doing and what should be happening, and the shoulds. I was shooting on myself and how it should look. And so that just really messed things up in my head in terms of how I wanted to be. So we were talking.
Messed up your to-do list.
It did. It did. And I shared briefly that the other thing that sometimes happens is when I feel like I'm rushing, when I have to rush or race through from one task or one thing to the next. Like there's a fire going on in my house and I have to run as fast as I can to get away. Like that's the feeling.
Grab everything and go.
Grab everything and just go.
Yeah.
Whereas, so some of the antidotes, I'll list them off.
Yeah,
and then
you list them off.
Through them. So we talked about what the antidotes are to that whole experience of feeling. Self-compassion.
Huge.
Self-love.
Mm-hmm.
Trusting and flowing. Being in a sense of calm. Slowing down. Being in the moment. And then you mentioned in the last episode, living in your heart and not in your head. Yep. So that old saying is like how a majority of us are walking around this earth cut off from the neck, and we just live in our head and we do not live in our heart or in our bodies at all.
And it's not our fault. It's the way we were raised and culture has made us be in our head.
Absolutely. We are such a society and culture that is based on outcomes. We're an outcome-driven society. And going back to what I shared, the example in the last episode of the exams in school and tests and papers and grades and performing in sports, all outcome-based. So when you're being conditioned to strive for that outcome, you can often miss the process of just learning. I mean, how often do kids in school really love and appreciate the experience of just learning?
We take it out of them in the system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
We
it's no one,
lose that
yeah,
sense.
they lose it
Mm-hmm.
completely. So then you
It's
get
still
caught up.
there, but it's buried.
It's buried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to be clear,
It's,
it is still there.
it's still there. Exactly. It doesn't go away. It's just covered over by a mask.
Mm-hmm. And the shoulds.
And the shoulds. So one of the ones that I mentioned earlier to you was the self-love one. And
Complicated.
yeah, let's talk about that one for a few minutes, because self-love was always a hard one for me. And also it's like people will say, wow, self-love, what is that? What is self-love? What is it for you? Or what does
Self-love
it mean
for
to you?
me, because it's like this elusive thing and it feels weird. It does. It just feels like, what do you mean self-love? What is that? How do you put it into words? So for me, it really comes down to being okay. Like, I didn't do it great. It's okay. Did you put your best foot forward? But not in a doing space. It's that dropping out of my head into my heart. So if it feels right, if it feels okay, then I'm in self-love, because I'm in integrity and I'm in alignment. So for me, self-love really is about being in alignment. Because if I'm out of alignment, I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not putting my needs at the forefront. And when I say taking care of ourselves and putting our needs first or in the forefront, it doesn't mean to the detriment of others. It's not me or them, but it's not losing me in doing and providing for others in the process. So it's a delicate balance, and it's a faulty one, right? It's really easy to fall out of it, but we always have that choice to return. So for me, self-love, knowing I'm in self-love. So it's not like an active process of, I love myself, I'm great, I'm wonderful. That's not what it is for me. That's forceful and icky feeling to me. It feels egocentric in a way.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like this, I don't want to say, but it's like the secret thing. It's not just words. It's not just putting pictures of I'm great and I'm amazing. It's not the feeling of I'm great and I'm amazing. It's not a better than over than. It's a self-love is I'm worthy. And this is just all off the cuff because I have never really thought about it fully. So I'm bumbling my words a lot, but it's a solidness. When I am in self-love and self-compassion, I feel grounded. I feel like I can breathe. I feel expansive. I know I'm okay. Even if I mess up, I know I'm okay. So it really does bring in the self-compassion. I don't think self-love is independent of self-compassion. They really are two, as Shefali says with parenting, it's not the same thing, but two wings of the same eagle. You can't have one without the other, because self-love means I'm okay and I can screw up and I can make amends with myself and whoever I may have wronged. If that makes sense. It's a very bumbly answer. It was not concise at all.
No, it was beautiful, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was
What
beautiful.
does it mean for you?
I think
I'm gonna move this because this light is very bright now all of a sudden. Okay.
Yeah, I think to just piggyback on what you said, I think that it is a knowing. It's an inner knowing, and it's a self-acceptance as well. Like, it's an acceptance of, I am okay no matter what happens.
Right.
I am enough. Like, it's going back to a remembering and a knowing of how I came into this world.
Right.
Like, when I came in as a baby, I came in completely whole and as a clean slate. You know, when I was a baby, I had chubby little legs, you know, and I had like this crazy hair. But did I know that or think or care? Did I, you know, do
Absolutely not.
babies care if they have poop all over them, food all over them? Babies are
Spit
just
up.
spit up. They're just
Right.
loving themselves, and they explore themselves. And babies are content to just be too. They just, because they can't do anything. They're just laying there.
And they're so present.
And they're so present. So I think
Mm-hmm.
babies are a great example or a great way to go back and look at how we're meant to be.
I love that. I love that. And it reminds me too of the being and how
Yeah.
they do the doing. So
Mm.
when they're learning how to reach, they're like, the little mat
Yeah.
that we would put our kids on, and then it had the little
Like a
arch
little
over them.
mobile with some
Yeah.
things.
And
Yeah.
so they started to learn how to reach to touch those toys. Did they give up or go, oh, I can't do it. I
Yeah.
can't do it. No, it's like, it was the process. It wasn't the outcome of, I didn't touch that toy yet, so whatever. I'm just going to hate on myself laying on this mat because
Yeah.
I'm
I'm,
not good
I'm
enough.
worthless. I'm useless.
They
Might as well
just
just
keep
lay here.
trying. It's the process of learning to crawl and walk. How, yeah, they may get frustrated, but then they keep going and they keep trying without
Yeah.
this loathing that we can fall into, this darkness. And so I love that you
Yeah.
bring up babies, and we are still that chubby little baby that didn't
I
care
know.
about how we looked or how we failed, because we weren't failing, we were trying, and we just kept
So
pivoting when
for
needed.
Yeah, and for me, it's a process of coming back to that knowing. And you always
Mhm.
say, and so does Tara Brock, call it a homecoming. It's
Yeah.
coming home and back to that little baby that I once was, or that little
Mhm.
toddler. Because as I shared many times along the way, lost that. And I did develop a loathing for myself, particularly around puberty,
Oh yeah.
when, I just, did not
Right.
like the way that I looked or anything else. And I completely had a loathing for myself. So that's a really good word that you use. So now it's been a process of me reparenting myself. And that is a part of
Yes.
self-love, is reparenting,
Oh, I love that you bring
because
that up.
it's my inner child that is still, when I was talking in the last episode about all that perform please, and the stress that I feel about my to-do list and not doing it good enough or well enough, that's my little girl.
Yeah.
That's my inner child that keeps
Yeah.
coming out with the perfectionism, the perfectionist
Mm-hmm.
mask, the pleaser. It's all my little girl.
Right.
So self-love is getting myself into my adult self
I
and
love that.
reparenting my little girl and saying, it's okay. It's okay. You're perfectly perfect just the way you are. You're worthy just the way you are. You're enough just the way you are. Everything is okay, always was okay, and always will be okay. Like I
Yes.
say that in every recording that I give my clients, that's in every one of their recordings.
Mm-hmm.
That who you were was always enough, who you are is enough, and you will always be enough. Like that's in every recording,
I love that.
because it's the truth. It's the
It
truth,
is.
but we forget, right?
Oh yeah, all
We
the
forget
time.
because of the conditioning. So, and then just the fact that I do keep working on myself and paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to how can I create or cultivate more in my life, to just the fact that I'm examining all this to-do
Right.
list, like how can I slow down more? How can I be present more?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is going to give me more balance and more joy and more freedom and more peace. That's loving myself.
Exactly.
That's self-love, because I know it's not working for me.
Right.
It's not working for my mind, my body, or my spirit when I'm constantly pushing.
Right.
When I'm doing all those things that we talked about in the last episode of pushing, doing, that's not self-love.
No.
That's being mean to myself. That's being
Inner
hard
child.
on myself.
Yeah.
So the fact that I want to stop and pause and look at that, and I want to learn and change and do something differently, like how can I incorporate or slow down or be in the moment, be more present, is self-love.
Definitely. Oh, I love all of
Yeah.
that. Okay, so now moving forward.
Here we go.
Here we go.
The challenge. I
the
feel it coming.
it's the action steps, right?
Yes.
Because self-love includes action steps.
It does.
Everything we do on this path of awakening, it's not a passive process.
Right.
It's active. So what are you going to do to slow down? What are you going to do to incorporate when that to-do list comes back in? Because it will. It always does.
Yes.
When we're out of balance. How you're going to recognize it, because you're already in a different space than you were.
Yes.
A few hours ago.
Yes.
So when it comes back or when something else comes up, what is going to be your action step? What's going to be the tool? What's going to be your go-to tool?
What's in my backpack?
What's in your backpack that's going to help you shift into self-love, shift into some of these other antidotes, shift from your head to your heart, shift from into that flow and the trust? What's going to be one of your go-to actual practices that you're going to do?
I can think of many, and I think I shared once before, and I'm still going to keep incorporating it. Progress, not perfection, is to, in between each task, put on my phone a 5-minute timer and just do a meditation. Setting boundaries, like I shared with you. I have another appointment, coming up. I need to have that break in between. I need to pause and slow down. I need to take that time for myself, so I'm not going from recording and rushing into that next thing. And then the other thing that I have even been doing just while recording now is I'm being more aware of my body. I'm doing a body scan, as in our 21-day backpack experience, body scan. And I'm noticing when I feel my shoulders start to tense. And because when I'm in the doing or striving, or I'm trying to something or other effort too much, I can feel it tense. So then I just kind of like, I'm going inward and feeling my body and just kind of breathing into my body and letting my body relax.
I love it. I did a body work session. Gosh, this was probably 5-6 years ago with a woman, and it was a tent. Rolfing. She did rolfing. If you've ever heard of that. It's very painful, but she was not about the pain. It was more about the process. She's brilliant. But what she would tell me, and I'm just going to share this to you and our listeners, is so your shoulder blades. So when you're feeling that tenseness, when you do your body scan and you feel that bunching up. So she's like, imagine that your shoulder blades are angel wings, and you're just tucking your angel wings in your back pockets. So imagine your little angel wings, and you're putting them in the back pockets of your pants, even though we don't wear pants with pockets very much anymore with COVID. But just imagine just gently tucking them into your back pockets. And it's like this immediate, for me, it worked as a beautiful visual. Or else she'd think of, what was the other one she would give me? Because I'm a tense shoulder person too. I swear I hold a lot of tension. Is think of 2 little horses prancing on your shoulders. They're just prancing your shoulders down. Just that little.
I can feel that.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I do. I feel that. That's great. So that's what I'm going to start being aware of. Just being more aware of my body as I'm going through. And then, of course, I will incorporate the nature more in terms of just bringing in more stillness.
So shifting back to the previous episode, you mentioned how I'm going to take a drive in the country, or I'm going to do this or that on the weekend. So the weekend's coming up. Are you going to schedule,
I am.
I mean, sometimes we have to schedule it, and there's nothing wrong with scheduling that time. Are you going to take
I'm going to take a ride on Sunday. I am.
Awesome.
I'm going to take a ride.
So great.
I know.
That is I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many other things. And of course, you and I
Yeah.
were talking about how we want to create some more courses just around all this and what
Yeah.
more we can um, do to balance out,
Mm-hmm. Right. Because,
bring more self-love, more self-compassion.
yeah. And remembering that we're not going to stay in this self-love place all the time, but
No,
we return. We figure out what tools, what works for us, what imagery. Tapping into your body is so important because our body really gives us clues. So I'm really glad you brought that one up as one of your go-tos, because so many people are disconnected from their body. I was one of them.
for sure.
And
Living cut off from,
completely
yeah,
not even listening, other than, oh, I have a pain or something here and there, but actually like exploring that pain, exploring what else may be there, because oftentimes wherever we're feeling that tension and pain, that's not where it's actually coming from. It's just where it's gotten to the point where that's where we feel it. So really tapping in. So I'm really glad you brought up the body.
yeah,
Thank you for
yeah.
bringing that up.
Yep, no worries. So we talked about self-compassion, the self-love, and just also I'm going to mindfully bring more of a presence or a mindset about enjoying whatever task is in front of me, and just trying to like
Yes.
slip into it. So even if I'm, you know, with my daughter, or I'm driving to go to the grocery store, I mean, I can
Mm-hmm.
just slip into that and just look at well, obviously keep my eyes on the road as
Right.
I'm driving, but at
Safety
the same time,
first.
safety first. But you know how we do that. We
Right.
drive, but we look around, just really just trying to bring joy. And you have
Mm-hmm.
to be intentional about it, because otherwise you can
Heck
just
yeah.
be in the mind and be in the list and all that
Mm-hmm.
I have to do.
Oh,
And
you're
I
just
know,
remembering. I'm just
oh,
remembering another exercise that a
oh,
different
good
teacher
tell.
shared with me, because you're talking about the car. I totally interrupted you. I'm so
Go
sorry.
right ahead. Go right ahead.
And I'm going to do this today, everyone, because I'm meeting a friend for lunch after we're done. Is when she would always say to bring yourself back into yourself, because when
Mm,
we're driving, we're so disconnected.
for sure.
Often. So even just looking at the clouds or whatever. But she had me practice, get into the car, and before you even start driving, look in the rearview mirror and say, "Hi, Tia." Just
Mm.
like acknowledging yourself.
Yes.
So you look in your eyes in the mirror. It sounds really
And
weird, and it's really weird when you start doing it.
start
But
doing it. Yep.
I see you. Whatever
Yep.
feels good to you.
Yeah.
So acknowledging yourself, and then you drive, do do do
Yep.
do do, and then when you get there, you do the same thing.
And do
Look,
the
we've
same thing.
arrived.
So you're just really connecting with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like, "Hey girl, what's up?"
Exactly.
Just make it
Whatever comes to
fun, make it
you.
crazy,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
doesn't seem goofy or whatever.
It still feels goofy. At
Yeah,
least it
I know.
always did for me.
Yeah. The
But it
mirror
was a
exercise.
powerful tool,
Yeah.
especially when driving. Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of that, all those tools you were talking about, it's that coming up for air. We're so
Yes.
drowned by the to-do list, by the pushing and the doing, and we're out of balance. So like, come up for air. Take that breath, that 5-minute meditation you're going to take in between tasks. Just come up for air. You deserve it.
And you know what? And I know I'm not alone in when I share that I feel like drown. I know that a majority of society and a majority of us out there, especially like right now, I'm thinking about teachers, and I'm thinking about
Oh my
teachers who are
goodness.
moms, and just people who are trying to work from home and manage their kids with doing remote learning because of coronavirus. There's just
Yes,
always so much to do. And so I really want to recognize that it is hard and it is difficult, and it is necessary to still come up for air.
definitely.
However that looks for each individual,
Yeah.
if you don't come up and breathe or stop and tread water a little bit, you're going to sink and drown.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And that's why our balancing your backpack, these 21 days, again, it's not too late to join, and it's always going to be
Yes,
available. So if you're listening to this and it's past the time when we've been doing it live, you still can pop on and do it yourself as a self-led and join in on the Facebook group, because we'll still be popping in on the Facebook group for support. So don't feel that if you missed it, whenever you're listening to this, it is available at any time to access. And once you enroll, again, it's free, you can access it anytime. So you can always redo this 21 day of balancing your backpack, coming up for air, taking time for yourself, just that remembering that you're worth it. And if you don't know what to do, just pop on there and be like, I'm going to pick day 14. That's what I need today. You don't have to follow it day
exactly.
by day. You can check in if you're needing a tool to find that breath of air. Just pop in
And hop
Teachable,
on the
pick
face.
it. Yeah,
Always hop on the Facebook group as well for support.
exactly.
So is the link for the 21 day in every episode, or how would a person?
That's a great question. We can plop it at the bottom just because it's a free course. So
Yep.
it's not, we're encouraging this because we know how important checking in with our body, mind, and spirit is. So if there's nothing else you do, you really give a gift to yourself and just sign up,
Yeah.
join, access it when it feels good for you, when you're stuck, when you're in that muck and you feel like you're drowning in your to-do list, and just be like, oh, that's right, I can log into Teachable and just find a quick 5-minute exercise I can do right now for a breath of air. So don't feel like you have to be live with us on the October 12th date that's already passed. But
Well said. Yeah, good point. So once again, we are so grateful
incredibly,
for all the support. We're just on YouTube, just getting so many people watching, and on the podcast listening. I continue to get more feedback from people I know and friends that I know that are really enjoying listening and finding it helpful and beneficial, even if they just pick like one episode here or there. If one person hears one thing that can help them have some comfort or a shift, that's amazing. That's worth it in and of itself.
exactly. That's why we do this.
Yeah, for sure.
So make sure you do some self-love today.
Do some self-love. Yeah,
Come up for air.
absolutely. I know I certainly feel a lot better for sure. So
don't the shoulders have come down?
Shoulders, yes, for sure. So thank you everybody for listening, for watching. We really appreciate the support, and have a wonderful day.
Yes, thanks so much. Bye.